Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to CPACE Alliance's 2025 Annual National Roundup webinars. We are really appreciative that you're here joining us once again. And this is part one of two of these calls that we're going to be holding. In which case, if you're new to this, what this is all about is that we give program administrators the floor here to be providing updates to all of us within the CPACE industry about what they achieved in their programs in 2024, and as well as what they expect to achieve and work on in 2025 in their individual programs. And so we create this outlet every single year to allow program administrators to have this opportunity to tell us a little bit about what they've been working on and what they hope to work on in the coming year. All right, so in terms of today's agenda, it's pretty similar to obviously what we've done in previous years. We'll give just a very quick overview about CPACE Alliance. Again, if you're not familiar with our organization, just going over a few handy housekeeping items for you all today so we keep this call moving very smoothly today, and as well as mentioning here what all the different program updates that we're going to be having available here today. Today, I regard it is the light day. The heavier day is actually going to be happening on Thursday. We're going to have more administrators represented on that call. So we also invite you to come on back and hear out all those different updates that we're going to also have available on Thursday. But today, as you see here on this list, this is who we'll be having featured on our call this afternoon. All right, so very quickly in this case, in terms of CPACE Alliance, who we're a coalition of different capital provider and transactional partners in this case that are committed to, trying to achieve as many public benefits as possible from getting CPACE financing projects done so that we can create more high quality CPACE transactions all across the country. And as you see here, we have an ever-growing and ever-evolving coalition here made up of different partners, including capital providers, law firms, and as well as engineering specialty firms in this case, to help with getting these CPACE transactions done all across the country. And certainly, this is a little bittersweet time here also at our home here at CPACE Alliance because as I think all of you now know and was basically informed by our founder, current executive director, and fearless leader, Cliff Kellogg, in his case, made the announcement that he is stepping down as executive director on March 1st. And actually, I want to turn this over very briefly to Cliff, just to see if he has any few words in this case, as this is, again, a very bittersweet moment, his last roundup calls he's doing with us. So, Cliff, anything that you wanted to share with the group here?
Cliff took the mute instructions very seriously.
Here we go. Just wanted to say thank you to everybody. It's been a great adventure over the last 6 or 7 years. And the way one of our directors said it recently was that we started with a ship that we didn't know whether it was seaworthy, and we head out to sea and accomplished our first mission, which was to create as broad market for CPACE financings as possible. And the ship is now, I think, metaphorically coming back to shore, where I will be turning over the lead responsibility to whomever the board selects as my successor. And there'll be another phase of this journey that may be different than the emphasis that we've had over the last several years on legislation and program development exclusively or primarily. So thank you again for your friendship, your partnership, and all the work that you've done to make CPACE succeed. That's enough from me, Nick. Back to you.
Great. Thank you so much, Cliff. Again, very, very poignant words and very, very hearty message there. And again, it's been a pleasure, certainly, too, working alongside you with building out this coalition over the last 2.5 years. So definitely you're going to be missed. And I hope that whoever steps into your role next, that they can fill those shoes, because they're going to be very hard ones to fill with all the great work that you've done with standing up this coalition. So we thank you for your service and what you've done for this industry. All right. So with that being said, let's move on to housekeeping items, a little bit more of a mundane instructions here. But of course, it goes without saying, but if you can, if you're not speaking and you're not presenting here this afternoon, please keep your microphone muted and your video turned off if, again, you're not speaking, because again, we want to be sure we keep this call moving as smoothly as possible and not having any unwarranted interruptions here during the course of the presentations this afternoon. And questions that will come from the moderator and audience will be taken and answered after each of the program completes their updates. So as we go along here, if you have questions that you would like me to then call out and pose to the different administrators, please put them in the chat area in Zoom here. And again, we'll be monitoring those questions here, and we'll try to get to as many of these questions as we can over the course of the 90 minutes that we have allotted for today. So with that being said, let's go ahead and jump into the updates that we have for today's call. And we're going to start off on the West Coast here today from, I think, a first-time presenter in this case, being California, representing the WRCOG portion of the program there in California. So Casey Daly, the floor is now yours.
All right, thank you, Nicholas, and good morning, afternoon, I guess, at this point now, to everybody. It's a pleasure to be here, and I appreciate the opportunity to share a little bit about what WRCOG is working on with our commercial PACE program. And maybe just very brief intro on who we are. We are a Council of Governments that's a joint powers authority located here in Riverside County down in Southern California. In the early 2000s, we initiated a residential PACE program, the HERO program, that eventually expanded statewide in 2014. So our current footprint for the state of California, on the screen here, you can see 47 counties, 384 jurisdictions. In 2020, late 2020, we shuttered our residential program to focus solely on the commercial side. So we have really kind of kept our head down over the last several years, working through some PTSD from the residential side and getting our footing for growing the commercial side. So 2024 was actually a pretty quiet year for us on the project side. We didn't close any projects. We currently only have Nuveen Green Capital as a program administrator. They've been a great partner with us since 2018. But with some of the changes and shifts with the various companies, WRCOG has only been working with Nuveen for the last 3 or 4 years. But you can see projects that we've closed, and this is really since 2018, these 46 projects. And I would just say one of the big achievement for us this year, as we look towards, well, there are 2 big achievements, frankly. The first one was getting clear direction from my board on their desire and intent to keep the commercial PACE program active statewide, and to agree and allow for us to bring in new program administrators that would have access to our statewide footprint. And perhaps more exciting for me was authorizing an addition to our program report, which now allows for us to work directly with capital providers, banks particularly, that are interested in CPACE deals. And so we've created an online portal where an interested bank can register as a direct capital provider with us, and then we've created a mechanism so that project information and documents and everything, we're really trying to digitize and go online as much as possible. And the last thing I'll say on this is the inclusion of a direct capital provider chapter in our program report allows for us to close these deals directly with banks without a program administration agreement. So I am happy to answer any questions, and thank you again for the opportunity.
Well, great. Thank you so much for those updates, Casey. I think, and it's great to see that WRCOG now back up and running in your particular service area, in this case, for getting CPACE transactions done. And we look forward to certainly working with you in the future here. One immediate question I do have for you, because I don't see any have come through the chat for you, but you were mentioning here in your updates that for 2025, you're hoping to develop projects to improve infrastructure and sustainable development. What are you thinking in terms of the types of projects that would fall under those kind of categories, those terms in this case, for basically getting CPACE financing projects done? So what was the thought there?
So we have to obviously follow whatever the allowable improvements are per statute. So in California, that really focuses on, renewable, obviously energy efficient, seismic hardening, fire hardening, broad categories like that. And to the extent that there are additions in types of improvements that we can fund through CPACE, then we're open to that. But we have to kind of limit the available eligible improvements to what is explicitly identified in statute.
Got it. Sorry, I was fiddling with my mute button. Thank you. Yeah, that's very good to hear that in this case. All right, we have a couple other questions that are come in for you, Casey.
Yeah.
One is, did the board in your WR COG board approve adding additional capital providers? It wasn't seemingly clear during your presentation. So have you gone about doing that together?
Yes.
Okay. And
Yeah.
how,
The capital provider. So the way we structured this was, California, I think, is the most mature CPACE market in the nation, and so we have encountered challenges given our size of our footprint and some other challenges with respect to territory and the ability to close deals in certain jurisdictions in California. Sometimes creates confusion and challenges. And so, kind of parallel to that effort, we had also started to get contact by banks who were, starting to get interested in commercial PACE. And so we began this process of writing a new chapter for our program report. And so this new chapter is kind of what defines and identifies this direct capital provider. So if you're a bank and you have CPACE deals in California, I'd love to talk to you because I can do a walkthrough of our portal, get you registered, and then going through this channel, right? So through the direct capital provider channel and alleviating the need for a program administrator and therefore a program administration agreement also removes any exclusivity issues or concerns that might exist from companies that have signed administration agreements with bond issuers. So we're wide open for any direct capital providers to come on in.
Great. Yeah, we appreciate you clarifying that for the audience. And then just one other question, which in case I don't know that this necessarily has impacted your particular service area, but with the wildfires that obviously are still ongoing and trying still to get put out, would that impact any of your outreach efforts, say within the next couple of months here in this case? What kind of impact do you see with that?
From the lens of onboarding or bringing in new partners, no impact. What we're starting to see and we're starting to hear are operational issues around deferring tax payments and things along those lines, kind of some of the stuff that we encountered during COVID. So there might be some of those issues that pop up around allowances for making deferred payments on your property tax bill, or some of those kind of, again, operational side of stuff. From the program standpoint, no, I have no negative impact on the fires related to bringing in new partners.
Great. And I'm glad to hear that in this case, that would not have any kind of impact on your ability to really grow and expand and move on with the work you want to do. All right. I think those were all the questions for you. So Casey, again, thank you so much for coming on and providing the updates. And of course, we wish you a lot of luck here in 2025.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
All right. Thank you so much. Oh, whoops. There we go. All right. So next up, we have the Montana program here to provide their updates. So Carolyn Jones, I believe you're up next to provide your update. So please take it away.
Yeah, thanks, Nick. And again, thanks for the opportunity to present on your roundup. Again, Carolyn Jones with the Montana Facility Finance Authority. And as a refresher, we are the statewide program administrator for CPACE here in Montana, which actually stands for Property Assessed Capital Enhancements, as opposed to differing acronyms across the country. So going into 2024, basically, we had done one project. Our program launched in the beginning of 2022. Which was an innovative financing for a private wastewater system for $5.5 million. So last year, after a quiet 2023, we were getting a little bit more active. We closed 4 projects to the tune of $2.3 million. One of those was a retrofit for an existing building in our downtown Billings market, which is our largest community in the state. And then we had one property owner who financed 3 projects putting renewable energy and solar panels on his hotels in 2 cities and, 3 properties, 2 in one community and 1 in another community. So we continue to work on ongoing projects and continue to get local governments to opt in. In 2024, we added an additional 4 counties and 1 city, and currently working on 3 additional counties and 1 additional city just this month alone. So we'll continue growing in that aspects. For 2025, again, continued growth for the program for adding districts and getting jurisdictions on board, getting new projects on board, updating and increasing our contractors for our registered contractor list, as well as getting on board with new lenders. We did have 2 new CPACE lenders in Montana on the projects that we closed in 2024, and that also resulted in 3 new consulting lenders in the list of data out there in the CPACE world. One thing that did not get put on my slide, we do have a cleanup bill currently in our Montana legislature right now. Our definition in the CPACE statute for multifamily actually referred to a different Montana statute that was tied to the Disability Act, and so it required multifamily to have elevators, which we did not want that requirement in there, as it might provide limitations on multifamily. So we do have proposed legislation going through to bring the definition of multifamily into our own CPACE statute, and that will be proposed to mean a property with at least 5 units that are primarily intended for residential use, each with a full bathroom and a complete kitchen, and the units may be rental units or owner occupied. The units may be attached, detached, semi-detached, or row houses. So we do have that proposed legislation, which has gone through the House side of our legislature, and once a Senate committee is assigned, it will be moving through the Senate side as well too. So happy to take any questions.
Well, great. Thank you so much for the update, and yes, certainly for also tipping us off to knowing what you're working on right now in the legislature for that technical fix in this case. And in curiosity, Carolyn, what is the bill number for that?
It is House Bill 120.
Okay, easy enough to remember. Okay, thank you.
Yeah,
Thanks
and
for
you
letting me
can,
know
yeah,
that.
yeah.
But yes, one question that actually I did have was when you're saying you're trying to close more deals with additional new CPACE lenders, who are the kinds of people you're trying to reach out to and get in to potentially do the CPACE lending in this case? Are you talking to again the traditional kind of CPACE capital providers, or are you also then maybe trying to reach out to like credit unions, other traditional local lenders in this case? What is it that your strategy is there?
Yeah, so our primary focus right now has been trying to build the small regional banks and credit unions grouping that's available. So, that's been a primary role of both Seth and Adam since the program started back in 2022 to get that market going in Montana. A lot of our projects are going to be probably even sub 1 million, let alone the sub 2 million or 5 million for the national capital providers. So we've been continually working within our banking associations, our credit union associations to bring more knowledge about the product out there to the market. So primarily focused on regional banks and credit unions.
Got it. Great. Yeah, and I hope you have a lot of success with trying to get those kind of institutions in to provide financing, because I think that's a whole nother frontier really of trying to get more CPACE projects financed across the country. So best of luck with that.
Thank you.
I don't see any other questions coming through the chat. I'll give people just a quick second here to see if they do put that in there for me. Nope, I am not seeing any other questions at this point. So again, Carolyn, thank you so much again for your update this year. And again, best of luck to your program in 2025.
Thank you. Have a great day.
All right, thank you so much. All right, let's go now a little further south to Nevada, and let's go check in with Holly Ettinger to talk about Clark County and their latest updates. So Holly, please take it away.
Hi, everyone. Greetings from Slipstream. We launched the program for Clark County, Nevada, just in late 2022, and so actually late 2023. And so our first project was this one last year in early 2024, and it was a gut rehab essentially of the what was originally built as the Hard Rock Hotel and was kind of repositioned to be Virgin Hotel, and a full renovation happened that included a lot of energy upgrades and water savings, and that was what was financed. It was a big project, 190 million, definitely bigger than some of the ones I've seen in Wisconsin. But this is a huge property with 1,500 guest rooms, and some of those are very large suites. So, this is a big property. One of the things they did was remove the lazy river from the outdoor area and replace it with a pool as a water savings measure. They are very big in Southern Nevada on water savings, and that's part of this program. So, things that you know, obviously there's like no water in Vegas, so that's really important for them. Um, we did work with the county on a waiver for this. The Clark County program is capped at 50 million, which is a huge number. And except that when you're talking about Las Vegas properties, it's not a huge number. And so any project that wants to exceed that cap of 50 million does need to get a waiver on the project from the county commissioners. So we worked with Nuveen and the owners of Rio on that process, and we're able to get them that waiver and then move towards the approval and closing. So it was a bit of a process. These aren't these aren't quick, but they're big and complicated. But we try, of course, like in all of our programs we help with, to make it smooth for and be helpful as we can. Obviously, for next year, we're just hoping to continue to grow the program. Kim has some marketing and promotions planned for next year in Nevada. And oh, one thing I do want to shout out is that the lines between what is in this program and what is in the City of Las Vegas program is kind of a hard meandering line. So there is a link on the website, and it's here. Obviously, not a live link, but we can send it out. It's a GIS mapping tool from the county that'll show you exactly if your property is in this incorporated Clark or unincorporated Clark County, which is the area we serve. So that's the update.
All right. Thanks for the update there, Holly. Appreciate it. And of course, again, congratulations again on that project that closed, I guess, about a year ago now. Out of curiosity, and if you don't mind sharing, like how difficult of a process was it to go and convince the Board of County Commissioners to agree to exceed the program limit by especially that amount, almost quadrupling, in this case, what was actually allowed before in terms of CPACE financing. So do you feel comfortable to talk about maybe what that process was like?
I can talk about it in general. I would say that the commissioners are very supportive of growing the economy in Clark County, and they understand the importance of these large commercial properties to that success. So, while there was a discussion at the county meeting and questions asked, in the end, they were supportive because every big property is important there, and investment in those properties is kind of key to their success. So um, I have um, kind of some advice if someone's seeking that, and glad to work with people. But overall, the county is kind of sees the big picture.
Got it. Yeah, no, thank you for providing that color there, because then the follow-up question, and maybe a natural one here, is that do you foresee maybe in the future that the county would maybe agree to either lift and raise that program limit, or even potentially maybe even scrap it altogether in this case? I mean, what is your thinking on that, that maybe any one of those things could happen in the future?
Um, to be frank, I don't think they'll change it. And one of the reasons is um, they are very involved full-time county commissioners, and they like to know what's going on. And I think that um, when a project's that big, they want to be aware of it. And I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. I think that's just good community in some ways. So I don't think they're going to change it. However, um, what I'd like to see is some smaller projects even. We'd love
Mhm.
to do some small businesses in in the area too. So we'll see if we
Mhm.
can do that.
Great, great. Um, all right. I don't see any other questions in the chat right now. So, all right. So, Holly, I think I will go ahead and dismiss you. So, again, thank you for the update this afternoon. And again, best of luck to this program in 2025.
Thanks.
All right. Thank you so much. All right. So, we're going to stick to the West right now, and let's now go to Colorado. And so, Tracy Phillips, the floor is now yours.
Yeah, thanks, Nick. Hi, everybody. Tracy Phillips from the Colorado CPA program. Through we just hit 9 years of being in Colorado. Up through 2023, we had done 126 projects and just a little over 256 million in financing. Last year, we're still on kind of slow for what we've done in the past. We financed 6 projects, just over 20 million in financing. But we do have a considerable backlog of projects, which I'll talk about in a second. Um, Last year, some of our achievements, we did increase the interest only period to 3 years. So that's intended to help new construction projects pencil out a little better. We also introduced, I mentioned this last time, that we were planning to do this, and we did introduce the availability of variable interest rates. So I know a number of folks reached out to me about that. The reality is we made it available, but no projects have incorporated a variable interest rate yet. So it is available. We thought we'd offer that flexibility to borrowers and lenders, but nobody has actually incorporated it into a project yet. We also did get approval from HUD in 2024. Part of our discussion with HUD too, we managed, they agreed to waive the energy audit requirement in lieu of using the EPIC tool, which we use for a lot of our projects in Colorado, especially the smaller projects. So they agreed to that, the EPIC tool being used instead of audits, which was great. I discussed with them about removing their SIR greater than 1 requirement, but they wouldn't change that. So I was a little disappointed there, but it was not unexpected that they would maintain that. But it does sort of limit, buildings that want to, just need a new roof or, new windows or something. They're not going to be able to use CPACE unless they incorporate other improvements to get that SIR greater than 1. We also, to what Holly was just talking about, we have been steadily trying to engage the small and medium building sector. So we've been doing that since the program launched. And one of our latest efforts, we teamed up with the city of Denver and launched a pilot program. It's focused on buildings that need to comply with the Energize Denver requirements. These are certain, energy use requirements that buildings have. And the small and medium building sector has their own prescriptive set of improvements they need to do, either a lighting retrofit, they got to reduce their energy use by 25%, or offset their building's energy use by 30% with renewable energy. But we talked to the city that this is a good opportunity for them to look at other improvements, and not just that, look at things like electrification, or if you're doing a bigger project, financing, right? Which is where the CPACE piece can come in. So that's been amazingly successful, and they're looking to expand it to the rest of the city's population of buildings. We started with 30 buildings, but we're looking to do many more than that now. Couple of last things. We went through sort of a house cleaning with our lenders. If you recall, we had more than 50 registered lenders in Colorado. So there was a house cleaning effort where we had all the lenders recertify if they wanted to continue on as a CPACE lender in Colorado. And so 26 went through that process and became recertified. Some others are sort of saying, yeah, we're just going to wait until a project actually comes up, and then we'll get back in. But still, we've got plenty of community banks, credit unions, and other CPACE lenders. So looking ahead to 2025, as I mentioned, we want to continue to focus on this small and medium building market, looking at project origination supported with the EPIC tool. I mentioned we have a tremendous backlog of projects. Many of them are new construction projects that are struggling still with senior lenders. I'm sure a lot of you have seen that. But we're hoping to see a lot of those projects moving forward next year. And just in general, we've got a number of marketing efforts to engage contractors and counties and municipalities. So that's it.
Great. Thanks for that very comprehensive update, Tracy. We appreciate it. Quick probably question I have, actually, because you answered already one of my questions I was going to go and put to you about the variable interest rates, but you've said there's really been no uptake on that. So I will table that question. I'll instead go to the next point, which you raised about your getting your HUD approval. And again, congratulations on that, because I know from my own experience, that's not an easy task by any means to get that approval. But basically, what kind of opportunity do you see there, by the way, in working with like multifamily type properties and the like, to get more CPACE projects done that may have HUD financing on it as well? So what do you see as the opportunity there?
Yeah, just like you said, there's a lot of multifamily properties that need help, especially we've seen it through the city of Denver work that we've been doing. We're working with a lot of apartment complexes. The focus of that program too is on equity priority buildings. So a lot of them are multifamily apartment complexes that have HUD. And so, yeah, I think it's going to help open it up. They all are struggling too. It's a common theme, right? With any kind of capital to do these types of improvements that they need to do. So that was the part of the disappointing part with the SIR greater than one, because some of them just need infrastructure improvements, or even like we have resiliency too, right? And so resiliency doesn't really fit in the HUD model with the SIR greater than one. So I talked to them about all of that, but they really they just weren't ready to change that at the time. But that's one of the big opportunities, Nick.
Great. Yeah, that's what I was figuring. And so yeah, hopefully a lot of luck with that, now that you've gotten that unlocked for your program. And then maybe just again, very briefly, just maybe a quick reminder to our listeners here about the EPIC tool. I know that probably this has been brought up before in our prior calls, but just a really, again, quick reminder, what really that tool is, how is it valuable in this case for helping to get new projects done, and especially for targeting the small and medium-sized buildings market, as you mentioned, could be helpful with using this tool. So just kind of give a quick, maybe a primer and a quick update about what that tool was again, and how you think it could be helpful for getting more of those kind of projects done.
Yeah. Well, thanks for giving me this opportunity. Right. So EPIC stands for Energy Performance Improvement Calculator. It's a tool, as like we said, as part of our efforts to reach the small and medium building sector, we saw energy audits really are not a good fit. Comprehensive audits, or even level one audit in a lot of cases is too much. Too much effort for these small and medium buildings. It's sort of overkill for a lot of projects. So the EPIC tool is an automated tool that helps you develop energy savings calculations. It can do cost estimates for improvements, and it has a financial analytics tool. So you can look at CPACE financing or other forms of financing. And you can do all this very quickly with limited information. It's linked to a lot of public databases and past projects. So we're going to help inform the model that you create, but you can literally create a model 30 minutes to an hour for some projects, and both use it as an engagement tool to get an owner interested and appreciate what the financial promise of a project might be, or to use it all the way through to the end as your analytics tool. So it's a very efficient way of getting these projects originated and developed. And I'm happy to show anybody that's interested. I can give you a demo of the tool and tell you more about it.
Great. Well, yeah, thank you for that refresher in this case. That's very helpful. Just to again remind people what that tool is and what kind of value it could have for getting more of these kind of CPACE projects done for the small and medium-sized markets. So again, appreciate you providing that. And then we're going to stay with you, Tracy, to then give the update now on Nevada in this case. And then again, I'll keep looking to see if anybody's got questions for you on either of these states. But yeah, why don't we go ahead now into the Nevada update?
Yeah, and this one will be quicker. I apologize for being a little long on the last one, but through 2023 in Nevada, 4 projects financed, 39 million total. Last year, there were 2 projects that were financed, 133 million. Actually, under the achievements there, one of those projects was a large $108 million new construction project. It was the largest new construction project in Nevada to date. Area 15. It was originated and financed by Northbridge. So kudos to them for putting that one together, but a really terrific project last year. Also last year, we engaged a number of new jurisdictions. So now the program covers the cities of Las Vegas, North Las Vegas, and Henderson. In the southern part of the state, in the northern part of the state, Reno, Sparks, and Fernley, and then there are 2 northern counties, Washoe and Pershing, are in the program. In 2025, again, sort of building or continuing on this theme of going after the small and medium building market. We're collaborating with the Nevada Clean Energy Fund and Electrify to bring all these tools and processes that I've been talking about to the small and medium building market in Nevada.
Great. Yes. Thank you so much for the update now on Nevada in this case, outside of Clark County, of course. So my quick question, and again, maybe just, again, for everybody's edification, if they're not aware of what Electrify is and what Colin Bishop has been working on around the country. Yeah. So describe a little bit about, how Electrify is working in the program in Nevada, and what is kind of their role and what are they doing, and what the promise you might see in this case of working with them to get more of these small to medium-sized projects done.
Yeah, Electrify has been a real terrific ally in their part of their main mission is to reach the small and medium building market and make CPACE accessible. So they have relationships with lenders and they've been working with us and other organizations to bring sort of these processes and tools that are really geared and right-sized for small and medium buildings, along with lenders and terms that are agreeable to these sort of smaller size projects. So they've been a real terrific advocate. And the small and medium building market historically has been incredibly underserved, and so it's all part of that effort to reach that market.
Mm-hmm. Great. Yeah. Thank you so much. Appreciate knowing how they're going to be working with you folks in other areas around Nevada. All right. I don't see any other questions coming in through the chat for you, Tracy. So I think I will go ahead and release you. So again, thank you so much for providing both the updates on Colorado and Nevada. And of course, best of luck on both of these programs in 2025.
Yeah. Thanks, Nick.
All right. Thank you so much. All right, now we'll go ahead to the East Coast, and let's now go down to Florida. And I believe we have Aisha Rodriguez representing FDFC. So Aisha, please go ahead with your update.
Thank you for having me today. I'm Aisha Rodriguez with the Florida Development Finance Corporation. We are the administrator for the CPACE program here in Florida. We work through a special district called the Florida Resiliency and Energy District. So for us, the cumulative projects through 2023, we have closed so far 33 projects. We have closed over 192 million through 2023. For 2024, we had a surprisingly strong year after having part of the year that we had to kind of put things on hold because of a legislative update. So we did close with 14 projects for the year and 278 million in CPACE, which we are very proud of and very happy for. So the program has grown extensively, especially since I started back in 2019. We're very excited about that. 2024 achievements, again, we did have a very, very big 2024 legislative update to our statute, which caused a change in pretty much everything on how we do business. We had to change all of our finance documents. We had to change our program guidelines. We had to change how we approach our CPACE applications, how we review our program applications, everything really from beginning to end. So that was a major undertaking that we started in July, and it wasn't, I believe, until September until we started kind of picking up applications again. So that for our program was a very large lift this year. But we do feel like now we're at a better place with just getting things streamlined, getting things kind of working again, working through a little bit of the backlog that we have. So that's been exciting to kind of get the program rolling again. Some 2025, some objectives. So we want to expand our CPACE program marketing. We've done a lot to just kind of structure the program, but we haven't done as much as we could with our marketing, especially all across Florida. So that's been, that's one of the things we want to do this year is just do a better job of marketing. We've had a lot of really neat projects in Florida. We've had a lot of senior housing, a lot of different industrial type projects. And we just want to get the word out there of what is possible with CPACE. We want to create more CPACE learning opportunities for property owners, for cities and communities, just wherever we can get the word out. Because as everyone knows on here, it's not as easy to understand CPACE if you've never heard of it before. So we want to create those opportunities there. And the other part that we're still working through is just improving our actual application. We're going to be rolling out some automations here soon with online applications, just to, again, continue streamlining the process and making it easier for everyone. So that is our update.
Great. Thank you so much for that update, Aisha. And again, really great work with getting all of that potential with all those projects done in this case and the amount of volume that was achieved. That was really, really wonderful. I have a quick question here, and I think we have a couple coming through the chat that I'll get to. So basically, the first one I want to ask, in light of what happened, obviously, with the really kind of devastating hurricanes that came through Florida last year, including Milton, what, if anything, are you folks doing to try and get in front of different key parties in this case to try and see what they can do to utilize CPACE so that when you do redevelopment, you'll be doing a redevelopment right, and then making use of that tool to help with basically the redevelopment. So what, if anything, is FDFC doing to try and get to those right constituencies to get CPACE used in redeveloping these areas?
Yeah, so one of the things this year that was nice is that our statute was expanded to include water conservation and efficiency, and it added some resiliency parameters. So Ryan Barkis, who's our senior director, he's the one that's really out in the community talking and onboarding new areas. So that's one thing he's been sharing, just that message that CPACE can be used, for that, especially you have anything waterfront, like we just onboarded the city of Tampa, and for Hurricane Helene, they had a ton of flooding. So these are all things that items that do qualify under CPACE. So just getting the message in general that these qualifying improvements are available, I think is a big part of what we want to start rolling out to them.
Great. Yeah, because I think at the end of the day, we just know this is going to be a great tool, I think, to help redevelop communities in this case and help them recover. So anything that can be done I think on your ends, you help, getting that word out and making sure people know this is a helpful tool to getting this done. I think, yeah, all the better in this case to helping the state recover. Um, Let me go down some of the questions we have in the chat. So just a general question that we got was, how did you overcome high interest rate environment when many PACE programs were hampered by, those higher rates that we've been dealing with? So do you have any thoughts on that, Aisha?
So I was going to say that's not a great question for me to answer. It's probably better for the program administrators to answer that question. They are the ones that really do a great job of structuring the capital stack and structuring their financing. One thing that we started seeing this year in Florida is the tranching kind of format of doing financing with tranches. So they're being released, at different intervals. But that's what I've seen internally FDFC, because we are a state issuer. We have an internal 30-year treasury cap that we can't exceed. So internally we have, internal controls for the interest rates, but I honestly think that question might be better answered by one of the program administrators that's really out in the field and working hand in hand with the borrowers.
Got it. Great. Thank you so much for that.
Yeah.
And then one other question that we had was that, are you at liberty to give any kind of more details about those large size projects that you might have seen that closed last year? Especially any ones that might have closed, maybe say $50 million or more in this case, especially.
Sure. So we've had a couple. The largest one will give some kudos to Bayview. It was 137 million for a Westin in Cocoa Beach. That was a hotel development. We also had a multifamily that was a little over 40 million. We've had, I'm trying to look at we had an industrial that was a little over 30. So they've really been sort of all over the place. For Florida, our two largest industries is hotels and multifamilies. Followed by senior housing. So those are the projects that are a little larger for us.
Great. That's really great. So thanks for sharing those details on some of those larger projects. All right. I think those were all the questions that we had for you. So again, thank you so much, Aisha, for providing Florida's update today. And of course, best of luck with your program in 2025.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much. All right, let's go over now to the Midwest, and let's now touch on the Illinois program that's administered by IECA. So I believe we have Nicholas Roker from that program. Nick, it is now yours to provide your update.
Hi, Nick. Thanks. So if I had to describe our 2024, it was steady. We kind of closed an average number of projects, a bit above an average number or average amount of PACE financing, but it was steady growth for the IECA. Just some background for us: we are the PACE commercial PACE administrator for about 17 counties in the state of Illinois, which includes about 80% of the state's population. So we cover, while not necessarily a broad area, most of the state's population. As far as some notable achievements, like I said, we had a pretty steady year, closed 6 projects, just under $45 million financed. The interesting part was that we did both small and large projects, and that's been pretty characteristic of our program to date, where we get a nice breadth of project sizes. And everything from new construction to retrofits, office, healthcare, industrial, multifamily, we kind of see it all. So, in addition to that, we also changed our programmatic closing fee structure to better incentivize smaller projects to take advantage of commercial PACE, and already had a little bit of success in generating more interest when the numbers are a little more favorable for smaller projects. And then also we've gone through great pains to improve our servicing process. Illinois is primarily an on-bill servicing state, and that means that we have to work with the counties to make sure assessments are on bills, and if anybody else is in the same situation, some of these counties don't necessarily want to do the work. So the easier and clearer and simpler we can make things for the counties, the happier they are to work with us. So we made a lot of efforts, and it's really paid off in working with counties to improve our servicing process. As for 2025, we're going to continue to try and do lots of outreach, both to drive program participation and also try and sign up more counties, working with their EDCs to try and draw in some more projects to take advantage of the program. And then we're going to try and roll out a few additional programmatic updates. A couple of maybe changes to fee structures and things like that. Nothing too major, but yeah, we're pretty happy with the success we saw in 2024, and we already have a pretty good looking pipeline for at least the first couple quarters of 2025.
All right, great. Thanks so much, from one Nick to another. Thank you again for your update. I personally didn't have any questions of my own. I'm looking to see if anybody in our audience here has any questions for you, Nick. I am not seeing any, unfortunately. So, all right. Well, again, we appreciate the update very much. And of course, best of luck with the program in 2025.
Thanks, Nick.
All right. Thank you so much. All right. Let's go a little further north now to Michigan. I believe we would have Mary Freeman or John Wiley to give the update today. So please take it away.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for the opportunity. We've had a really great year. I think it's been steady. It hasn't been blasting ahead, but it's been, slow and steady, which is great. You'll see that we crossed, if you add those two numbers at the top together, we've crossed the 300 million mark, which we were super, super proud of and excited about. Let's see. Because of amendments to our program that went into effect in February of 2024, we spent pretty much 6 months or 7 months going all over the state to every single city council, township board, county commission to educate new commissioners, educate new local officials about our program and to update their program reports and to tell them about the new the new opportunities available for PACE. And, we were able to share that we had obtained HUD approval. We were able to share that now the SIR could be waived if people wanted. And so we really had tons of great connection with our local government partners, which was fantastic. We also have created 8 new partner training videos. Well, they're not so new now, I guess. But anyway, they're featured on our website. They're targeted to different sectors of the market. And it was something that we had been wanting to do for several years. So we're super proud of them. And, take a look if you're thinking about doing additional outreach and marketing, maybe they would be something for you to model your own efforts after. We think they've been pretty popular. Lots of people have viewed them. In Michigan, there's a big effort through the state government called the My Healthy Climate Plan. And so PACE is a great partner with a lot of those efforts, with a lot of different funding streams. We try to stay up on abreast of all of that stuff so we can make sure people are going after the best opportunity they can. We all know PACE isn't always the cheapest thing, but a lot of times it's the last thing that is going to make a project go forward. So that's pretty, we've had a lot of interaction with all sorts of Michigan-based partners around energy efficiency, renewable energy, all kinds of technology efforts. One thing I've noticed is that now that we've closed 87 projects, we're spending a little bit more of our time on actually administration of the projects that have already closed. It's not bad stuff. It's mostly things like maybe maybe a project's being sold, so we need to do some paperwork there. Maybe there's a parcel that needs to be separated from a project. So another, just lots of paperwork on existing projects that is kind of new since we've got some volume at this point. So that's been very interesting. I think, was it Florida mentioned that you're seeing people trying to get creative about for these large projects about organizing their debt with tranches. We are definitely seeing that. And so my colleague John, who, as many of you know, is succeeding Todd Williams, who's moved on to other things after 8 years with us. We've been doing a lot of research and trying to figure out, what are the, how is this kind of creative efforts to finance larger projects going to be absolutely within the bounds of our state statute. So we're kind of on our toes about that. The projects that have closed kind of continue in the same general vein, lots of senior living, lots of multifamily, nonprofits, commercial. We did have a storage unit place used thing. So that's it. All set.
All right. Thank you so much, Mary. Thanks for the update.
Mm-hmm.
And also too, probably you'd be remiss to say that Andy Levin has made a return to your program in his case, who helped to found and create this program. So I'm glad to see that he's back on board in a consulting capacity to help with the program.
Yep.
So hopefully that's going to lead to more success for your program moving forward.
Absolutely.
One question that I did have was when you were talking about you really want to increase the small balance projects. So what kind of efforts are you folks going to be undertaking and working on to help basically with getting those smaller balance projects increased in the program?
We spend almost all our strategic time on that. Outreach to organizations, to banking organizations, to individual banks, to CDFIs, to foundations who are working with CDFIs, to the state, which is trying to develop a hub of green financing partners. We're working closely with the department here is called Eagle to make sure to be a part of that. And so, we're having some success. It's a lot of legwork before we're going to see projects, but we are moving forward on that.
Great. Yeah. And hopefully a lot more success as you continue to work on those efforts.
Mm-hmm.
And then we had one question in this case, it's probably like a clarification question, but when the program updates were made back now, I think a couple of years ago now at this point, was the savings guarantee in Michigan removed as part of those updates?
It wasn't removed. It was removed from new construction, actually. So that's clarification. But it became optional. So the property owner can waive the SIR if usually they were ending up having to pay sort of like an insurance to get it. And they knew they were getting the savings and they didn't really want to put out that extra that extra coverage. And so now they can opt not to. And so far we're seeing almost everyone, everyone is waiving the SIR so far since February last year.
Got it. All right. Well, thank you for the clarification on that.
Yep.
All right. I don't see any other questions coming in the chat at this point. So, okay. Appreciate the update, Mary, for the Michigan program. And again, best of luck here in 2025 with your activities. All right. Let's now move back to the West and let's now go to New Mexico. And so I believe, Eric, you are on the line and you now have the floor.
Thanks, Nick. We're a new program. The New Mexico CPA program is a program of the New Mexico Economic Development Department. And then my organization, Adelante Consulting, was brought on board to serve as the program administrator. So we don't have any closed transactions through 2023. We actually, just skipping down to the achievement section, launched our program in April of last year. So we haven't yet been around for a full year, but we're excited to pass that threshold. And then in our first year, over the course of 2024, we had 2 projects close. One of them was a bit larger, 76 million, with the Bishop's Lodge project supported by Nubian Green Capital. And then we had another $10 million project supported by Pace Equity that was on the Modern Elder Academy event and retreat center. And so both those projects actually happen to be in Santa Fe County, just outside of city limits. So we were, really excited to close those first two transactions in September and November of last year. And then a large focus was on just supporting various local governments to pass legislation to opt into the program. So at this point, we have 3 counties, Bernalillo, Santa Fe, and Taos, that have opted in, and then the 3 largest municipalities in each of those counties, so Albuquerque, Taos, and Santa Fe, have all opted in. And that really takes us to our objectives for 2025. So one of them is really to continue supporting projects and closing CPACE transactions. There's a lot of interest from property owners and developers to learn more about the program in those various, in those 3 kind of jurisdictions. And so really wanting to focus on those and leaning on collaborations with capital providers and educational outreach as some of our key strategies. And then, of course, continuing to support other counties and municipalities to opt in. Donna Ana County, where the 3rd largest city in our state, Las Cruces, is located in the south, is on the verge of opting in. We're just waiting for the finalized ordinance there. And then Los Alamos will be opting in soon. They'll start the process today. And then another focus for us is really reaching out to local credit unions and financial institutions to see how we can better serve the small to mid-sized projects. As was mentioned with the Colorado program, we've also been partnering with Electrify, and we also have a green bank, the New Mexico Climate Investment Center, that is just starting up this year and have shown some interest in supporting some of those smaller transactions. So that's a recap of New Mexico and our program.
All right. Well, great. Thank you so much for that update, Eric. This all sounds really great with the work that you folks have been doing so far. Quick question that I have for you in this case is, how has that outreach to like credit unions and local financial institutions been going to basically get them interested to do CPACE transactions? What's been the receptivity from that community?
Yeah, there has definitely been interest. I think the outreach, we did a lot of kind of reaching out one-on-one to different institutions. We've also done presentations at the New Mexico Association for Credit Unions, so that's been helpful. Oftentimes, when there's an interested property owner or developer, they'll put us in touch with some of the local financial institutions that they're connected with, and so that's another way that we can have the conversation. And very early on, we also, bring them in touch with Electrify to kind of share some of the resources that they offer. So some of these local financial institutions will be participating in some of the trainings that Electrify offers to see if they have an appetite to enter the market.
Great. Glad to hear all of that. And hopefully, yes, you see some results from that work and that opportunity. I do not see any other questions coming through the chat. So great. Again, thanks so much for the update today, Eric. And again, best of luck to your program in 2025.
Thanks, Nick.
All right. Thank you so much. All right. Now let's go to a string of updates coming from Bricker Graydon. So let's go to Chris Jones, who's on the line, and the floor is yours for both for Ohio and as well as Kentucky and as well as Tennessee. So go ahead.
All right, thanks, Nicholas, and afternoon, everyone. So before I jump in, I did want to explain to everybody the kind of relationship of the programs when you see the Bricker Graydon name. So I am reporting on behalf of Bricker Graydon for the state of Ohio, and the state of Ohio's kind of PACE district construct is at a very jurisdictional level. So if you would find your way to their website and then the interactive map that we have, all those individual dots are a jurisdiction. We have 3 different types of governments in the state. And as you can kind of see from the numbers, I'm not going to read everything that's on this slide, but I think it is helpful just so you know how it's set up and works. But, we do have now close to 150 individual jurisdictions. Those can be small villages or townships or larger townships and cities. And then throughout the state, there are about a half a dozen different program administrators under the Bricker Graydon umbrella. I do manage a program administration entity that's wholly owned, and that is Ohio PACE, and then Energize Kentucky PACE, which I'm going to report on next, and then also Tennessee PACE, which we created back in 2023 to serve the great volunteer state. So getting on with the reporting of projects. So as you can see, we are now close to $1 billion threshold in Ohio only. This year ended up being the top year for total revenue, the $160 million number, which also did create several additional PACE districts. And one note there is the tax exempt PACE deal for the Toledo Museum of Art. And did want to give insight because I always find it interesting on some of the individual deals that others kind of mention. But that 24 million was solely PACE. It's a retrofit. And so for those of you who want to maybe find a large deal, reach out to the museums in your area, because apparently the heating and cooling system replacement is a very high dollar endeavor. And so anyway, that's what that was actually all about. Another kind of quick side story here is that the Ohio legislation was one of the first passed across the country back in 2009. And one of those PACE districts that we did create this year for the first time, kind of internal laugh to us, is that the city of Athens, Ohio, which is down in the far southeast Appalachian area, is the one who actually hired Bricker to write the Ohio statute, PACE statute, back in 2009. And they requested to do so with really just renewables, solar in mind. They ended up never really using PACE until this past year. So we were like, as a story of patience for PACE, that is one that we will share and continue to share with everyone. And from 2025, the Ohio market definitely is very strong, and kind of hope to keep doing what we've been doing and be able to add on it. So I will kind of pause there maybe for any Ohio questions, or Nicholas, if you want to keep on rolling. We can
let's keep on rolling, Chris. Yeah, for the sake of time.
Sounds good. Yeah, sounds good. So Kentucky activity also had a record year in Kentucky. We had significant dollar volume compared to everything to date. And that also did include 4 new county-wide PACE districts. We have about 3 more, I would say, that we're going to be adding here in the near term, where a lot of the work was done actually in 2024. And we also really did find success in the getting into the economic development agencies throughout the state, whether it be at kind of a state level or a local regional level, and was able to educate those entities. Some did lead to actually the closed deals that we spoke of, and some that I believe will be coming forth here in 2025. Similar to Ohio, very optimistic with regards to activity, as the pipeline is really kind of strong already here. And then we just note that the Louisville, Kentucky market is also very strong. Lots of just economic type of activity that's going on in that market. And we think it will also occur in the central Kentucky markets in particular. And then I do think that we will see new PACE districts created in the urban metro areas, such as the central Kentuckys and maybe the fringe counties in the Louisville area, along with like Bowling Green, which is really just these days and continued days going to be a suburb, a far suburb, but still a suburb of Nashville. So it's benefiting from all the growth in Nashville, the Bowling Green kind of Kentucky area. All right, and then we'll roll into Tennessee. That'll be my last slide here. So Tennessee, for clarification, it is a fragmented program administration state. And so I am reporting on the non-Nashville areas of the state. Tennessee PACE, for transparency, we are not the only program administrator around the state outside of Nashville. Those are either internally, such as City of Chattanooga's Sustainability Department, or Memphis, such as an Economic Development Agency. But I do keep in close contact with all of those entities, just trying to keep kind of a Tennessee wide number and updates for PACE as it is, because those entities tend to kind of stay a bit siloed and they have other things going on other than PACE. So with that, I was able to kind of cobble together, again, some of those non-Nashville numbers that you can see. Pretty good activity, although, we certainly hope that 2025 and beyond will be better. But I will say that out of all of the bullet points that I have here, I actually personally, professionally, under the Tennessee PACE umbrella here, spent numerous hours in Tennessee last year, meeting with local governments. And I would leave you all being kind of the capital providers that, just as a forewarning, even if you have a signed deal with a property owner, do not consider it a slam dunk that the PACE district can or will be created. We had two separate situations in the state where the local governments, just felt that, PACE and the special assessment authorizations just weren't something that they felt that local government was meant for. And that even went as far as the property owners / developers literally getting to the point of begging one certain local government, and well, frankly, in two of the cases I'm talking about, both of the separate property owners went to their local governments to kind of beg them to do it. So it's a tough one. We hope they'll soften over time. Tennessee, I would tell you, is very, I'll say similar to Kentucky in the fact that obviously it's a southern state. You have pockets of urban areas, but outside those pockets of urban areas, the local governments are just, resource constrained. And even as easy as the program construct has been set up, they still, I think, are going to need some, more time to, understand what PACE is all about. But very, still very committed to Tennessee, and I think as time goes on, we'll be good there. So I will stop there.
All right, great. Thanks to you for rolling through all those updates, Chris. Appreciate it a lot. I think, with one of our attendees here, they just were curious to know again, what was the total volume for Ohio in 2024 just by itself?
Yeah, I think that's on the slide there. So 160 million.
Okay, and then over the 24 projects. All right.
Yeah, we did usually, so 160 million. Yep.
And do you have any color on like any kind of like really large size deals too that closed in 2024? Like say anything $50 million and up. Do you have any kind of specific details to share on those kind of projects, throughout all these different states?
Yeah, and these are just off the top of head numbers. I don't have them exactly scratched down, but I think in Ohio, I think we had 3 or 4, 15 million and above. Kentucky was at least 3 of 15 million and above, which was a good number of that 80 million. And then I think Tennessee, again, non-Nashville, we had the one there, I think 12 million.
Got it. Great. Thanks for providing that detailed information. And then just was out of curiosity, for the jurisdictions you tried to go in front of in Tennessee who told you no, like who were some of those jurisdictions, if you don't mind providing?
Yeah, would prefer not to state that on this since it's being recorded and distributed out through the channels. But if anyone wanted to reach out directly, certainly would be willing to kind of provide that information. No problem there.
Yeah, we could definitely do that offline from here. I agree with you there. All right. Well, again, thank you so much for all your updates today, Chris. Appreciate that. And of course, best of luck on all these endeavors in all these states.
Sounds good. Thanks.
All right. Thank you so much. All right. So I just also want to do a bit of a time check. We only have maybe about another 11 minutes allotted here. So I want to try and be respectful, obviously, to our two final programs. But yeah, definitely we want to try and get through these as quickly as possible so we keep everybody on time here. All right, so let's go ahead now and hand it off to the folks at Lone Star Pace to talk about their program. And I'm now going to hand it over to, I believe, is it Glenn or is it going to be Lee or Ryan giving the update today?
Hey there, Nick. I'll take it over. I appreciate that.
Great, thanks so much.
We're Lone Star Pace, the program administrator in Texas. We can take a look at the activity of where we've been through 2023, about 152 million done. Exceeded that total in 2024, had a great year, putting through 186 million, which brings the total to 338 since inception, since our first project closed in 2020. So great year. Appreciate everyone who was involved in that, the project sponsors and the PACE capital providers and local government. As we look into see what we did in 2024, if we take a time capsule back to this time last year, our stated goal was to double our 2023 annual volume, which we were able to do. Excited about hitting that mark, and we were able to add in a few jurisdictions, service areas, which we now represent 58% of Texas. In the news, we also had some accolades from the first CPA transaction that was on a data center. So that was exciting to be a part of as well. When we look to 2025, we're going to have that same goal. We're going to go ahead and work to double our 2024 annual volume. It is a pretty lofty goal, but with the amount of program changes that we have, we do think that that is going to be something that is able to happen. And those program changes, if we take a look at high level, the CAPI and IO periods have been expanded. And what that means is that we, Keeping Pace in Texas, a great working group that puts out best practices, has decided and agreed together that debt service should align with cash flow. So CAPI through completion and IO through stabilization, right, based upon appraisal. LTV was at 25% and it's now at 35%. So that is a great benefit to the program as we look to further the state's energy and water conservation goals. And then finally, the SIR calculation had caused some pause, and the working group has decided that best practices, and they're finalizing it in February. The interest will be removed from the SIR calculation. So that should leave us all on a high note.
All right, well, great. Thank you so much for that very, very helpful update. And then my question that I had to you, Ryan, real quick was, with these planned updates that are going to be coming from the Keeping Pace in Texas working group, I believe, we're trying to get them out by February 14th. What, if any, kind of impact do you think that these new changes in this case are going to have, like, say, on trying to be able to double your annual volume here, that you achieved in 2024 here in 2025? So what kind of positive impact do you think they're going to have to be able to achieve those goals?
Yeah, great question, Nick. On new construction, we're going to see buildings built better to take advantage of that 35% LTV. And then ideally, the capital providers are out there helping us promote the program and talking to project sponsors and everyone around a commercial real estate transaction to let them know that this type of assessment financing is proven, it's doing very well nationally and now in our state. And we do think that those things combined will help us further that goal of doubling our 2024 annual volume in the year of 2025.
All right, excellent. Yeah, I definitely hope that that all comes to fruition for you folks. All right, I don't see any other questions here. So again, thanks so much, Ryan, for the update. And we definitely look forward to hearing more about what you're going to achieve here in 2025. Best of luck. All right. And okay, last but not least, we now have an update coming from the DC Green Bank in the District of Columbia program. So, Ron Hobson, the floor is now yours.
Well, thank you. First thing, I would like to just take the time to thank Cliff for his leadership and for his longtime support of DC PACE program over the years. We appreciate everything you've done. Uh, with regards to the PACE program, since our existence, we've pretty much financed, it's actually 54 projects now, up to a total of 130 million. We closed one deal at the end of fiscal year 24. It was a $22 million PACE loan that was to help finance a 5-story, 73 unit hotel, a boutique hotel in DuPont Circle. Secondly, I just want to say that I believe that our projects were lower than previous years, and I believe that was attributed partly to the higher interest rates, but it was also due to the fact that we had 3 more active capital providers who had turnover. Uh, One of our more active capital providers, the lender retired, and 2 of the other capital providers, our contacts left. We've, have been trying to build the relationships there, and we feel pretty good about 2025 on that front. Uh, Also, one of our achievements in 2024 is that we added 2 more capital providers to our roster, Dwight Green Finance and West Potomac Capital, which is a firm located in the DC area. We implemented some standard operating procedures to reduce some of our inefficiencies here. So we want to make sure that the process is more smoother, and it's much more relative ease when we're trying to get these deals approved by the mayor's office. For 2025, I'm actually, like I said, optimistic about what's about to happen. We are actually in the process of reviewing the program guidelines and are proposing some changes. We've worked with some capital providers, and they provided very good feedback. And I appreciate the feedback that we've gotten from the capital providers, and we're taking their recommendations under advisement. We're going to continue to increase our marketing efforts, our outreach. I'm feeling pretty good. We've had 1 capital provider who hired a very competent lender, and we're seeing a lot of activities in that area, and we're looking forward to building on that relationship. And we're just going to continue to focus on ways that we can grow our PACE portfolio. We actually signed an MOU with Electrify last year. We're trying to cultivate that relationship further in 2025. And I'd be more than happy to answer any questions.
Great. Thanks so much for the update. Definitely sounds like a lot of positive work you've been doing in the DC program. Out of curiosity, with regards to these potential changes to the program guidelines, what are some of those potential changes, and would those guidelines be open up to some kind of a public comment period?
We are looking at the PACE to loan ratio to give folks, the opportunity to have more money. We are looking at, of course, one of the recommendations was taking a look at the SIR ratio. We're taking a look at that. We are looking at, gosh, I'm trying to think right now. Let's see here. Longer terms. Right now in our program guidelines, it says we can do up to 20 years. In practice, we're actually doing 30 years, so we need to change that. For LIHTC deals, we're trying to go 40 years and include that in the program guidelines. And I can't think of the other things off the top of my head, but we're trying to make the program on par with most of the other capital providers around the country. I mean, not capital providers, program administrators around the country.
All right. Well, yeah, thank you for clarifying that in this case. Great. Appreciate knowing that. All right. I don't see any other questions coming through the chat at this point, Ron. So I think, again, thank you so much again for your update this year. And of course, best of luck on all your objectives and initiatives in 2025.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. All right, so that brings us to the end of today's call. Again, I appreciate everybody coming and listening and providing their presentations today. And of course, again, it's just another reminder note that we do have a second part to these roundup calls, which will be held this Thursday, January 30th at 3 p.m. Eastern Time. And again, we really do hope to have you all with us again to listen to another group of your fellow administrators who will basically be providing their program updates. So again, thank you so much for joining us today. And again, we really appreciate your participation. And again, we look forward to seeing most, if not all of you, on our call on Thursday. Again, thank you so much and have yourself a pleasant day.